Some of my most popular places to speak are at substance abuse centers slash rehabs. And my story seems to really resonate with the people in there. Statistics I have are that 2/3 of people in substance abuse centers have faced childhood trauma. So, they can relate to my early childhood trauma. And it's probably higher than 2/3. All my therapists have said, yeah, that number's probably higher. People turn to drugs and alcohol as coping mechanisms for their childhood trauma. And when I speak at these places, I start and end my speech with the same two questions. And those questions are, how many of you feel defeated? And usually about half to the entire room will raise their hands. And then I'll say, how many of you feel you can still achieve all your goals and dreams that you had before your life unraveled and you wound up here? And again, half or slightly less than half still think they can achieve all their goals and dreams. And then I go into my story. And I talk about all the substances I was putting into my system. I write on a chalkboard, 12 to 25, 3 to 5, 2 to 4, 8 to 12. And then I fill that in with 12 to 25 pain pills a day, 3 to 5 grams of coke a day, 2 to 4 bags of heroin a day, 8 to 12 Xanax a day. And then I scribble, and a ton of alcohol. And that's what I was ingesting on a daily basis for like the last 6 months before I got arrested. From basically the first of the year till June. That's what I was putting in my system. It was an insane, absurd amount. And I knew I was pushing the boundaries of my existence. There wasn't much longer I could have kept doing that before, my life would have been over. And when they see those numbers, their eyes open up and they start paying attention. And then I go into my story, how I was arrested for murder. I was facing life in prison. How I had to heal on my own. How I got sober and I stayed sober. I didn't do the zigzag that therapists love to talk about in recovery. I talk about finding faith and belief in something greater than myself. And then I tell them, how I spent 5 years locked up, how after getting out and having my life going in a new trajectory, one door after another opened for me. And at the end of the speech, I'll say to them, all right, now let me ask you the 2 questions here to close out my speech. And I'll be like, how many of you still feel defeated? And never has a single hand gone up. And then I'll say, how many of you still feel you can achieve all your goals and dreams that you had before your life unraveled and before you ended up in this position? Every hand goes up that they feel they can still achieve their goals and dreams. And I tell them a line out of Psalm 23 in the Bible. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. The valley of the shadow of death is simply the hell your life can take on at any given moment. We are all going to experience valleys of the shadow of death, dark spots in our life, death of loved ones, marriage endings, jobs you get fired from. And I tell them that there's one word in that sentence that's the most important word, and that word is through. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. I set up camp in the valley of the shadow of death, and I built a fire, and I had a picnic for way too long, and it almost destroyed my life. And I tell them, just work your way through these dark periods. Take your life in a new trajectory. And you'll find that doors will suddenly begin to open for you, and people will help you along on your journey. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Peace.